Climate Wisdom from COP30 Belém.
Welcome to our Climate Wisdom Studio live from COP30 in Belém in Brazil. We bring together experts from science, politics and spirituality to explore new solutions for the unfolding climate disaster. Myself, I'm Golo Pilz, and I will be tonight's moderator on a special topic, conscious choices for a world in transition. This climate conference has been purposely organized in Belém, in the middle or at the brink of the Amazon. And the Amazon spans almost 9 countries, is a treasure trove of biodiversity and covers 7 million square kilometers and is home to 35 million people. It's also often called the green lungs of our planet Earth and plays a vital role for our climate. Latest reports indicate that almost 35% of the Amazon forest has either been cut and cleared or is degraded. This brings the whole ecosystem to the brink of collapse and towards their tipping points, or irreversible deforestation. Yesterday, indigenous people stormed the COP venue and there was a ruffle and shuffle at the entrance, and also of the climate justice flotilla arrived with 5,000 indigenous people at the river shore of Belém. These are all forest defenders, civil society campaigners, and they will all join the People Summit, which is hosted at the University of Para. More than 10,000 civil society activists are expected at this COP30. They all are uniting in their desire to protect nature and the right and territory of traditional people. This is one of the reasons the Brazil government is pushing the Tropical Forest Forever facility to finance the preservation of the forest. However, on the other side, the industry, especially soya producers and oil companies, are pushing very hard for more concessions to exploit further the already stressed and weakened Amazon forest. I'm glad to have 2 spiritual leaders with us tonight and hope we can shed some more light on today's topic, conscious choices for a world in transition. We have with us Andreas Holmberg. He is the Bishop of the Stockholm Diocese in the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Sweden. Bishop Andreas is deeply committed to climate issues, has attended the COP27 in Egypt, and is a strong voice in Sweden's public debate on climate transition. Welcome, Bishop Andreas.
Thank you very much.
We also have with us Maureen Goodman. Maureen is the program director of the Brahma Kumaris in the UK and their representative at the UN in Vienna. You have been to many UN conferences and have a deep interest in the spiritual and ethical dimensions of climate change. Since long, you have also been involved in the interreligious dialogue. Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you.
So this brings us right in the middle of our first question, which I address to Bishop Andreas. The Church of Sweden is deeply committed to climate change. On a personal level, you also have written a pastoral letter on climate issues. I think it's titled, God Saw It Was Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Symbolic citation.
Yeah, very nice. Can you share some of your projects in the Church of Sweden and what brings you to the climate conference?
Well, thank you. Yeah, like you said, the Church of Sweden is deeply committed to address the challenges of climate change, and we have an ambitious climate roadmap. And one of the 3 overarching goals is that we want to be carbon neutral by 2030, which is quite a big endeavor because we have more than 20,000 buildings, a lot of transports and so forth. But we're working for it, and in the last 7 years we've cut our use of fossil fuels by 70%. That's 70% in the last 7 years, and we're also using less energy now than a few years ago. And maybe talking about beautiful places like the Amazon, We also have somewhere between 3,000 or 4,000 graveyards within the Church of Sweden that we administer on behalf of the country. And those are usually traditionally very controlled, very subdued areas, controlled by humans. But now slowly we are turning them into havens of biodiversity with beehives and flowers that are not just once in a 1 year plant. So they're really being turned into places of biodiversity. So those are just a few examples. And addressing your second question, what brings me to the COP is really to speak about values. I think values is really not spoken enough about at the COPs. There's a lot of talk about financing, about NDCs and new technologies, and all those things are very, very important. But we need to speak about values. What makes us rich in life? What's the meaning of life? And especially in the part of the world where I come from Northern Europe, from the West, where we've been rich for a long time, I think we really need to rediscover the ability to be content and learn and grow and mature as human beings into being able to distinguish between what I need, what we need, and what we desire. Because of what I crave, because my desire means somebody else may not get what he or she needs. So we need to take a step back. And that's the choice of liberation, really, to be content with what I have rather than, desperately wanting to have even more. Why? So we speak about values. That's what I bring to the COP, and I bring that up in numerous conversations. Tomorrow I'm meeting the Swedish chief negotiator, and I will bring up the concept of, we need to speak about values also.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you mention it, and I'm very glad that the Brazilian government has initiated the global ethical stock.
Indeed, very good.
And I think it's first time the presidency takes up this idea of ethics, what is actually missing, why we're not acting on the commitments already done in the past, and what stops us following actually what has to be done.
Yeah.
So ethical stocktake is there, and I think Mutti Rao is also going a bit in that direction. That means the indigenous concept of working together for a common mutual task.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite interesting that the presidency brings that in, and let's hope moral and ethics will come back on the center stage.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Maureen, our topic today is conscious choices for a world in transition. And it seems the world is facing right now some tricky karma. Let's call it like that. Can you explain from a spiritual viewpoint the importance of making right decisions? How the choices and decisions of the past create our presence and influence our future?
Thank you very much, and happy to be here. And I was just thinking when you were talking about the sort of wilding in a way of the graveyards, I thought that would be so good for the Church of England, and I will find a way to suggest it. But yes, this whole aspect of our actions and our decision making is absolutely key. And I think we use the word karma, but you can say the law of action, which is there in all our faiths. As you sow, so shall you reap. And the key to the quality of our actions is actually what is motivating our actions. And if we look at the world at the moment, the foundation for action is not necessarily the most positive. It's not necessarily compassion. It's not necessarily love. But there seems to be more a prevailing atmosphere of fear, of greed, as you were mentioning, of violence. And when decisions are made with that sort of motivation, then it's not possible for there to be a positive outcome from that. So when we take decisions that are fueled by these negative values rather than the positive spiritual values, then there are huge consequences, not just for the individual taking that decision, but if they're in a position of influence, there's huge consequences for the whole communities, the whole of humanity. And very significant decisions are being made in the COP. And, you know, there could be a point at which you can say, okay, some decisions are made out of ignorance, but you can't say that anymore. The science is too clear.
Absolutely.
And so if decisions are made putting the most vulnerable in front of you and thinking, is this going to benefit the most vulnerable of our humanity? Then decisions will be more compassionate in nature and more courageous. I think we need courage now and spiritual strength to take the decisions that will really benefit humanity.
Is good that you mentioned about the most vulnerable today. Yeah. The flotilla arrived, and this is the COP with the highest number of indigenous people, and I think the presidency also wants them to be more heard. Yes. And they are trying to be more heard. They're planning for quite some programs, and they are really saying, this is our land, we're living from our land, please don't exploit it and destroy it. It's quite obvious, you know.
In the COP for biodiversity, I mentioned it here, there was a breakthrough in that indigenous people and local communities became an official subsidiary body. This was it was held in Colombia, again, South American country, but in the biodiversity COP. And this is quite a breakthrough because it means that the government have to consult. So I think these voices, it's heartening to know that these voices are coming.
So they will see that the soft voices are prevailing in the ocean of business interests and political talks, you know. I mean, going inside the COP is quite some challenge to orient and to keep your clear mind because of the situation, the noise, and a lot of people are there. Bishop Andreas, since quite some years, the interfaith movement is active at the COP, and a lot of efforts are going on to unite the voice of religion and faith and have more impact. It seems unity is at the foundation of ethics and are a key to steer the boat of humanity out of that stormy sea we're right now. Time also is getting short. The reports which are being published at the moment are all shocking, I would say. And how to unify the voice of faith and obtain more impact at the climate conference, but also on the world stage. What do you think? What is necessary?
That's a very good question, and I wish I had a really good answer, but but I think, yeah, and this is only my second COP, but I think there are important initiatives. Sister Maureen and I both took part, together with about 100 other people, in the Talanoa dialogue. That's a Fiji concept. With people from many different faith traditions, you know, just 3 basic questions. I won't repeat them. I think that's a one important step today. There was a follow-up meeting. I couldn't attend it. There's also the tapiri going on at a different venue outside of the official COP arena, which is also an interfaith gathering, bringing together social movements with faith leaders from different traditions. So there are things going on, but I also wish that would be even more unified, and especially that the voice of people of faith would be reckoned much more. I said that in Idrit, I've been saying it this time too, that people of faith need to be at the table when negotiations are taking place. And I would wish for, or dream for, speaking to the second part of your question, that each country delegation would have 2 or at least 1 faith leader or other representative of a faith tradition in their official delegation
at the table
for the negotiations. Some countries do it. I spoke with a Canadian woman, a Christian woman. She's on the Canadian country official delegation, and there are some countries in Africa, as far as I know. But I think each and every country should have that, because there are people of faiths in all countries, and because we share, even though our beliefs may be different in some senses, we share our love for nature, for the creation. And that brings us together, and we share the concern for generations to come. So I really think we should be at the table, and that would maybe change the mood of the negotiations somewhat.
It's very interesting. And Maybe when Maureen makes the little reflection a bit later, we can meditate for unity of the religions, which is an old, tricky topic. I know it's going on since it's going on a long time.
Perhaps rather than unity, perhaps the word harmony
Harmony.
is very appropriate.
Yeah.
and
Or
possible.
unity in diversity. That's another
Exactly.
way to put it, maybe.
Maureen, that brings me back to you. You have been engaged since many years in the interfaith activities at the COP, and the whole topic is quite close to your heart. And I even saw tucked away in the COP somewhere is a meditation and a prayer room. But it's not so easy.
Oh, I didn't discover it so far.
I also didn't, so we will look for it tomorrow.
I saw it. When I was looking for something different, I stumbled upon it. So is the time right to bring back the divine into the realm of COP? And this question, which is also related, what you spoke, is the time right now? Is humanity desperate enough to bring back God or the divine on the table?
If God was at the negotiating table, what a wonderful thing. Actually, the divine doesn't need to negotiate. When you say, is it time? I would say it's very, very long overdue. And absolutely, this is partly what the Interfaith Liaison Committee is working towards, which we were together at. I think that we cannot underestimate the power of silence, the power of prayer, the power of meditation. We get so involved in doing, and we forget that the doing has to come from the being. The Archbishop of Cape Town, he was meeting one of our main spiritual leaders a number of years ago, and he talks about this, that he told her of all his problems and what he was working on. And he said she listened very patiently. And then at the end of it, she looked at him and said, yes, but what about your inner peace? And that really had a big impact on him. And I think we forget that we need to have that spiritual empowerment internally, so that whatever we do is out of love, is out of compassion, and is bringing that connection and that divine love into the world. And I think a big part of that is that love, or divine love especially, is a great healing power, and our world really needs healing. People have experienced so much trauma. The animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, everything that we're doing is causing untold trauma to our planet. And so the power of silence and prayer and meditation is able to bring back, is a healing force that can bring back harmony. So it really is crucial.
So it's high time to bring back God on the negotiation.
Absolutely. I think that it's time for everybody to listen. To listen to the conscience and to listen to the divine.
All right, that brings me straight to my third question. Bishop Andreas, some politicians, I heard it even in the opening speech, they are talking climate disaster and climate. They had different words for the climate, and they came up recently with climate apocalypse. And this resonates deeply with Christian belief system. And indeed, the times are dark and they are critical. So how can God consciousness help us to build up inner resilience and hope and guide us in these times? Because we meet so many people, there's a lot of anxiety now about negotiators. They don't know where to go anymore. They see all the signs there, and they have no God conscious, they don't believe in God. So how a God conscious can help us to navigate?
Well, I certainly think Sister Maureen spoke to a large part on that question. I think that was what you laid out. And I think the divine, or God, if you may, is at the core of my own hope, and I think the hope of so many people and many of the viewers is the conviction that that God is engaged, that God is passionate about her creation, that God is not distant or afar or uninterested. God is here. God is involved. And that's indeed the core of the Christian hope and faith, and I think of many other traditions as well. The presence of the divine, and of course, at the heart of the Christian faith is the firm belief that God loves us, not because what we have accomplished or managed to do, or whether or not we have succeeded in different ways, but because we are unconditional love, and love loves us as we are. And you know, standing on that rock foundation of life also means a vocation, a calling from the divine to involve ourselves, to put ourselves out there, and to contribute with all that I am, with all that I can, towards the healing of the world, of other people, of our co-creatures, you know, the birds, the fish, and all these lovely co-creatures that we have. You know, for me personally, I put on this purple shirt every morning as a bishop. I kiss the cross of Christ, and I say, okay, Jesus, let's go. One more day. I'll try to serve you. I have my strengths and my gifts, but I also have my vulnerabilities and my faults. But nevertheless, this is me. Use me for your service and for the service of people and creation. So it's really about, I think that's a foundation for our resilience, which is spoke about. Resilience come from being firmly rooted in the conviction that I am loved. And because of that, I can give myself fully. I can put myself out there, make myself usable.
So basically, you have to inspire people to open up to God's love. I think that's our job actually here at the climate conference also. Wonderful. All right, these are great inspirations for the climate conference and probably also for our viewers. And with just a couple of minutes left, and maybe Maureen, you can guide us in a meditation and let us bring back the divine on center stage.
Thank you. So let us sit together with one thought: the awareness of the gifts that God has given us. And to remember that we as souls, spiritual beings, inhabiting our physical bodies, we have inner treasures of our original state of being. The treasure of peace, the treasure of love, the treasure of wisdom. And in this awareness, we connect with the divine, the source of love, the source of peace, the source of truth. And as we connect, we experience the energy of the Divine One, the energy of the healing power of God's love. We become instruments to share this love with the world, with our brothers and sisters, and with every living creature. Let us surround our world with the healing power of God's love, so that our world can be renewed. We can again regain our harmony with nature, and there can again be a flourishing world. Let me consciously remain in that thought in silence for a few moments.
Very much, Maureen, taking us in this realm, and I hope we can hear the outside music a little bit. I hope it's not too much distracting. And it was a nice experience. I really felt carried beyond. So this brings us to the end of our little session. Thanks very much to Bishop Andreas for coming, sharing time with us. Thanks for Maureen.
Thank you.
I think it was a very worthwhile come together and good inspirations came up. And thanks also to our patrons and sponsors and to our technical team, which is actually all over the world, making this tiny studio possible. And please join us tomorrow at the same time for another interesting session of our Climate Wisdom Studio. And for details, please visit our webpage, echo.brahmakumaris.org/live. Last not least, thanks to all of you, our audience. And you can also stay tuned in. We play a short video. And in a couple of minutes, we start with part 2 of today's session. Goodbye and good night from Bette.
Visste du att Svenska kyrkan har en färdplan för klimatet? Klimatförändringarna är inte en fråga som kan skjutas på framtiden. Effekterna är kännbara redan idag. För att möta utmaningarna som följer med ett förändrat klimat måste vi alla tänka om vad gäller livsstil, hållbarhet och rättvisa. Svenska kyrkans färdplan för klimatet är vår handlingsplan för att bidra till de globala klimatmålen. I färdplanen finns 3 stora mål som ska vara uppfyllda till 2030. Vi ska uppnå klimatneutralitet i vår verksamhet. Vi ska bidra till en värderingsförändring som behövs i samhället för att nå klimatmålen. Vi ska bidra till klimaträttvisa. Klimatneutralitet. För att uppnå klimatneutralitet behöver vi minska våra egna utsläpp genom till exempel utfasning av fossila bränslen i alla våra fordon och maskiner, energieffektivisering i våra byggnader och produktion av förnybar el. I Värö-Stråvalla församling har man till exempel installerat solceller på alla tillåtna fastigheter och är nu igång med att bygga en solcellspark. Värderingsförändring. Klimatfrågorna handlar om hur vi ser på oss själva, varandra och vår relation till naturen och Gud. Som kristna har vi ett ansvar att värna om Guds skapelse. Varje år deltar många av våra församlingar i det ekumeniska initiativet Skapelsetid, som tillsammans med kyrkor världen över lyfter in miljö- och klimatfrågorna i församlingsverksamheten. I våra verksamheter möter vi också barn och ungas oro kring klimatet. Och därför utvecklar vi nu metoder och samtalsunderlag som ska bidra till att stärka livsmodet hos unga. Bidra till klimaträttvisa. Svenska kyrkan vill också öka stödet till de människor som trots att deras länder ofta bidragit minst till orsakerna drabbas mest av klimatförändringarnas effekter. En viktig del i att uppnå klimaträttvisa är att särskilt utsatta grupper inkluderas vid förhandlingsborden. Det görs även konkreta insatser för att utsatta samhällen ska vara bättre rustade att hantera klimatförändringarna. Arbetet med Svenska kyrkans färdplan är igång och många initiativ tas runt om i landet. Nu behöver alla goda krafter komma samman. Ditt engagemang behövs. Tillsammans kan vi göra världen mer hållbar och rättvis. Fler exempel och mer om färdplanen hittar du på svenskakyrkan.se/klimat.